Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker again, and today is the first Sunday in January 2025. I have a little piece at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he began to speak, and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I began last week's sermon by reminding us that theoretical physicists who are trying to put together Newtonian physics and quantum physics in what they would call the unified theory of everything, that these theoretical physicists say that there are between 10 and 12 dimensions to our universe. It seems to me that they're trying to prove something that's impossible. We human beings live in 4 dimensions: up, down, left, right, in, out, and time. Those are the 4 dimensions. If a 5th or a 9th dimension exists, we humans can't see it. Those physicists are trying to prove the existence of things that we humans can't see. But wait a minute. Isn't the church trying to do exactly the same thing? The difference is scientists are constrained by what's called the scientific method, while the church has no such constraint. The scientific method is a set of principles and procedures for the systematic pursuit of knowledge. The scientific method begins with a recognition and a formulation of a problem, the collection of data through observation and experiment, and the formulation of and testing of hypotheses. Now, we try to separate science from religion by making a distinction between knowledge and belief. The Apostles' Creed, created long before there was anything called science, says, I believe. And yet, on the other hand, we know about certain things that we can't see or measure, that are part of our human experience. Things like hope and love and joy, things that we can't see or measure, and yet they're common to human experience. There isn't really a clear separation of science from religion, or of human belief from human knowledge, if we want to put it differently. When scientists are pushed to their outer limits, to the outer limits of their knowledge, they may start to make belief statements about what they haven't proved yet. At the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus outlines 7 spiritual attributes that are necessary if one wishes to become a child of God. The first attribute is to be poor of spirit. Now, if on the other hand you're full of yourself, would be the opposite of being poor of spirit. To be full of yourself, there's hardly any room left for anything else, like the presence of God. There's another occasion where Jesus tells a story of 2 men who go up to the temple to pray, and one of them is full of himself. He stands in the middle of the room and he prays loudly, thanking God that he is superior to everybody else in the room. And the other is in a corner of the room, he barely made it in, and he won't even lift up his eyes to heaven, and he prays simply, Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner. Jesus says that it's the prayer of the man who is poor in spirit that is heard by God. Now, poor in spirit doesn't mean depressed. It means recognizing one's own spiritual poverty. It's the opposite of self-righteousness. The poor in spirit get their citizenship card for the kingdom of God, and then they're not poor in spirit anymore, right? No, that's not the way it works, because if they become full of themselves with self-righteousness, they will be out of harmony with God and in jeopardy of losing the kingdom. So it's an ongoing process, a lifelong struggle with self-righteousness. Now the next statement, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. What might be the subject of their grief? What are they grieving the loss of? Well, coming to terms with loss is part of what we do as human beings. Blessed are those who grieve, and you know how many that is? That's all of us. Being human means dealing with loss. Those who study grief say that our grief may metamorphosize over time, but it never goes away. Jesus says that those who grieve will be comforted. But again, coming to terms with loss is a lifelong process. The third of the Beatitudes has to do with meekness. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. There were only two people in the Bible who are called meek, and that's Moses and Jesus. Biblical definitions of meek is to set aside your own agenda and pursue God's agenda. And only Moses and Jesus have been able to do that. To pursue meekness sounds like a lifelong project again, if it can be accomplished at all. Are you beginning to see the trend? These attributes that bring a blessing are lifelong projects. Here's the next one. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Now, I know I get hungry and thirsty on a regular basis. It's not a one-time thing. If I get hungry and thirsty for righteousness, that is, for a right relationship with God, I'm going to spend my lifetime yearning or hungering or thirsting for righteousness, for that right relationship with God. The blessing or the payoff of this beatitude is that the one who hungers or thirsts for righteousness will be filled. Now, at Thanksgiving this last year, I ate so much that I believed that I would never be hungry again. But I have to confess that I have been hungry a time or two since then. The hungering and thirsting in this beatitude are pointing to a lifetime of yearning for righteousness. It's not a one-time thing. And so it goes. 3 more beatitudes. The merciful will receive mercy. The pure in heart will see God. The peacemakers will be called children of God. I can't say something like, oh, I remember a day in the summer of 1983 when I was merciful or pure of heart or made peaceful the unpeaceful. And then, obviously, I remember that day, so now I can claim my blessing, right? Each of these things is a lifelong pursuit, probably with many lapses, which is what we human beings do. The difference is to have persisted in the direction of mercy, peace, and purity of heart. That's what counts. I have learned over time that the Beatitudes are not a random list of things that people get a blessing for, or that I've also understood that the Beatitudes might be a ladder. Accomplish the first Beatitude and then move to the second, and so forth, until we reach the status of child of God. And I've moved past that. I've kind of moved past that to say that it's not a set of entry requirements at all, as if we could actually attain these things like mercy or pure hearts or becoming a peacemaker, and thereby we could earn our way into the new kingdom. No, I don't think it is. It's suggested instead that we rearrange our life goals so that our yearnings and our priorities and our goals are aligned with the poor in spirit. They're aligned with those who mourn, with the mighty meek, with those who are hungry for righteousness, for mercy, for purity of heart and peace. Now, if we do that for our lifetime from here on out, then we can expect that the blessings will be the kind of thing that really give us life and will give us a place as the children of God. Now, God bless you. I hope this is helpful to you. Thank you for your time to listen, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye. See you soon.